The contributions of black people in this country, black Americans, are innumerable. The quantifiable contributions are unable to be measured. From NASA to engineering to medicine to social to our very culture, fashion and music, and I mean, to try to erase the contributions of black Americans is, one, sinister and racist, but also it will harm all of us. Think about the things that we will lose if a future set of generations are robbed. And that's what it'll be. They act like it's just going to hurt black people. That's what they hope. That's what they think. But we'll all be harmed. We will all lose something if we lose sight of the contributions, and not just to black folks. Pick a group that's not just straight white wealthy people. The people that really Donald Trump very much cares about. You see, we need class solidarity in this country, and this plays into that. Because Donald Trump doesn't represent MAGA. They think he does because they're in a cult. But Donald Trump doesn't give a single shit about the poor Alabama farmer or Louisiana farmers or Missouri farmers. We're learning that right now. And you know what? So are they. They're learning it too. Unfortunately, they were driven by their suspicious attitudes. They were driven by their bigotry and their racism and their hatred and their fear of that which does not align with their particular lived experience. Anyway, going on a little long here. This is dangerous that Donald Trump is this is underway. It is in full operational activity right now to harm black. And by the way, he broadcasted this from the beginning. Even how they postured themselves relative to campaign messaging that black people are going to vote for Donald Trump because he's a felon too. He likes tennis shoes too. What?
Hey, what's up everybody? How you doing? I hope you're doing great wherever you are today. Now, there is an important topic that I want us to discuss about. The history the black history, which America have always tried to erase or downplay. One thing that I'll say up front, it is not easy to erase black American history because the black American history is the history of America. And for the longest time, I've seen people who are trying to talk about critical race theory. I've seen people trying to talk about reparations. I've seen people trying to talk about civil rights movements. I've seen people trying to talk about Black Lives Matter. I've seen black history teachers being losing their jobs for saying this truth. So I feel like it's important, in as much as you can try to delete the person who is spreading the revolution, you can't kill a revolution. And for the longest time, all I know is that American history, black history, is the American history. So you either accept it or deal with it because for the longest time, these people have worked so much hard to erase the black American history. I want us to watch this video. This white podcaster is trying to present to you how Mr. Donald Trump, the current president of the United States, that's Trump 2.0, is trying to deal with these, is trying to make sure that you don't learn black history, you don't talk about racism. To him, that's a waste of time. What does this mean? This means you are trying to bring he terms it as propaganda. You're trying to bring propaganda. So to him, this is a propaganda. Now, I want us to watch this video. I hope we get to learn, we get to see, and then let me know your perspective or what you feel or what you think about this video. I'm going to be seeing you on my next and giving a commentary about this. Let's watch the video. I'll be back.
I think I hope that Americans are starting to wake up to the realities of some of the things I've been talking about for years, that many people for decades, for generations, have been talking about for years. And that specifically, in this particular clip I'm getting ready to play for you from Linda McMahon's confirmation hearing as education secretary, that the Republican Party is a white supremacist organization. And Donald Trump is an avowed racist who wants to eradicate the history and the contributions of Black Americans in this country. A sinister plot that has been underway from this Republican Party for decades again. This video, obviously, isn't for Black folks in America. They go through the world, they navigate this country dealing with police, dealing with white people who weaponize the color of their skin against them, fearing that they're criminals. Even in schools, little Black girls are treated by teachers and punished by administrations in schools for far harsher than for what little white girls get, punishment-wise, because they're perceived as more mature, more tough, more... All of this is nonsense. There are doctors who think that Black people's skin is thicker than white people. We live in a racist country, filled to the brim with racist fuckers. People who voted for Donald Trump, who said, oh, the eggs were too expensive. Oh my God, the eggs, everybody. And yet, egg prices are up like over 20% more than they were the day Donald Trump took office, and he was going to solve that problem within 24 hours, and it didn't happen. And where are they? Crickets. Because they don't care about that. It's not economic anxiety, it's racial anxiety. They feel as though other minority groups, not just Black people, are getting a fair shake or more of a fair shake than they used to, and they feel that's going to take something away from them. And this is no more relevant or prevalent than what took place yesterday when Chris Murphy, senator from Connecticut, was questioning Linda McMahon. And I want you to listen to this clip. It's very brief, about a minute long. And he just flat out asks her, what about educational programming centered around specific ethnic and racial experiences? My son is in public school. You'll hear the thing. Anyway, the question is, if you're running an African-American history, a Black history program, a class in a school, could you perhaps be in violation of Donald Trump's executive order? Are they going to stop that class? Are they going to pull funding from that school? And she says, I don't know. I'm going to look into that. We're going to find out whether we're going to cancel certain classes because they don't meet the Donald Trump standard for education in this country. You're not sure whether you could be punished if you teach Black history, which is American history, in a class? You're a former cabinet secretary. You want to be a cabinet secretary again, and you don't know whether that's a disqualifier for a school? And you want to be the education secretary. Anyway, here's the clip. We'll talk about some of the other aspects of this on the other side.
What about educational programming centered around specific ethnic and racial experiences? My son is in a public school. He takes a class called African American History. If you're running an African American history class, could you perhaps be in violation of this court order, of this executive order?
I'm not quite certain, and I'd like to look into it further and get back to you on that.
So there's a possibility, you're saying, that public schools that run African American history classes, right? This is a class that has been taught in public schools for decades, could lose federal funding if they continue to teach African American history.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I would like to take a look at these programs and fully understand the breadth of the executive order and get back to you on that.
I think you're going to have a lot of educators and a lot of principals and administrators scrambling right now.
So she sits there like a stoic melting candle, not being sure about the possibility. When the answer is yes, there is a possibility. Because if there wasn't a possibility, the answer would have been no, perhaps that's not going to happen. But because you have to look into it, it indicates, yes, there's a possibility, Linda McMahon. The contributions of black people in this country, black Americans, are innumerable. The quantifiable contributions are unable to be measured. From NASA to engineering to medicine to social to our very culture, fashion and music, and I mean, to try to erase the contributions of black Americans is, one, sinister and racist, but also it will harm all of us. Think about the things that we will lose if a future set of generations are robbed. And that's what it'll be. They act like it's just going to hurt black people. That's what they hope. That's what they think. But we'll all be harmed. We will all lose something if we lose sight of the contributions, and not just to black folks. Pick a group that's not just straight, white, wealthy people. The people that really Donald Trump very much cares about. You see, we need class solidarity in this country, and this plays into that. Because Donald Trump doesn't represent MAGA. They think he does because they're in a cult. But Donald Trump doesn't give a single shit about the poor Alabama farmer or Louisiana farmers or Missouri farmers. We're learning that right now. And you know what? So are they. They're learning it too. Unfortunately, they were driven by their suspicious attitudes. They were driven by their bigotry and their racism and their hatred and their fear of that which does not align with their particular lived experience. Anyway, going on a little long here. This is dangerous that Donald Trump is this is underway. It is in full operational activity right now to harm black. And by the way, he broadcasted this from the beginning. Even how they postured themselves relative to campaign messaging that black people are going to vote for Donald Trump because he's a felon too. He likes tennis shoes too. What? It just people were blinded. They had the blinders on because of whatever reason. In fact, contribute. What am I, British here? Contribute your your guess as to what the reasons were in the comments below. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, you can email me as always daily at dollamore.com. Hey, listen, thank you if you've subscribed over the last couple days. I am absolutely blown away by how many subscribers I've gained just over the course of the last 5 days. It's been 40,000 or something. Never seen anything like it. I'm not involved with any other channel, so I don't know what kind of subscribers they gain from day to day. But for me, it's been bananas. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I think I'm going to hit 1 million subscribers over the weekend if this pace keeps up. I mean, it could be today if this pace keeps up. I love you guys. I appreciate your activism. I hope that people are starting to wake up about the realities that we're currently living through. And I hope that there's a sea change. But it's only going to be through our action and our organization and our sticking together. So I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another. I talk nearly every day about how divided we are as a country and the havoc that this division wreaks. But not all divisions are bad, right? As a mathematical concept, for instance, division allows you to split things into equal parts, allowing for equal shares. Division of labor has, for thousands of years, allowed humans to evolve their efficiency and specialization when working on certain tasks. And you can ask any kid to tell you that dinner is far better when the meat is divided from the veg. And what's more annoying than when you're sitting at a cramped table or out in the humid weather than having your meat smashed into your two veg? Is the meat and veg metaphor working here? It's time to divide and conquer with Sheath. Sheath makes the most comfortable boxer briefs I have ever worn. Regular boxers are just too loose and bunchy and not great. And briefs are just a smush fest. Sheath are the solution. Head to sheath.com and use promo code Dollamore to score 20% off and upgrade to the most comfortable underwear you'll ever wear. I'm wearing a pair right now, and indeed, that may be all I'm wearing under the desk here. But really, sheaths are the only underwear I wear. Absolutely fact. Their testicular tech features dual pouches to keep your mane apart from your sides. More dinner metaphors. Note, if you're not into the division for some reason, you don't have to use the dual pouches at all. Just throw your sheaths on like regular pair of underwear and you're good to go. Also, Sheath's stretchy fabric is super soft and made with moisture-wicking technology to keep your president and his cabinet cool and comfortable throughout the rigors of the day.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. Just hope that you're great, that you're fine wherever you are today and wherever you are watching us from. Now, I have a couple of things to talk about. Donald Trump's actions regarding Black American history reflect a broader conservative effort to reshape the narrative of race in America. Now, the following are key reasons as to why this appears to be downplaying or, trying to raise Black history. First of all is attack on the critical race theory and Black history education. Trump has repeatedly targeted the critical race theory, which examines systemic racism in American institutions. For example, in the year 2010, he signed an executive order of banning federal agencies from diversity training that mentioned systemic racism. Also, he denounced the 1916 Project, which highlights the role of slavery in shaping America, calling it toxic propaganda. His administration pushed for 1776 Commission to promote more whitewashed version of the U.S. history. Also, I'm also going to be talking about political strategy and appealing to his base as my second point. Trump's base includes many white conservatives who oppose discussion on racism, systemic oppression, and historical injustices. By downplaying Black history, it reinforces the narrative that America's past should be questioned. He appeals to voters who believe acknowledging racism is divisive rather than educational. The third point that I'm also going to be talking about is minimizing America's racist past to justify policies. Acknowledging Black history means recognizing the ongoing effects of slavery, Jim Crow, and racial discrimination. Trump's approach suggests that these issues are in the past, allowing him to ignore policies addressing racial inequality. Now, this also justifies his administration's rollback on civic rights protections, voting rights, and economic policies that disproportionately impact Black communities. Now, the fourth thing that I'm also going to be talking about is opposition to reparation and racial justice movements. Trump has dismissed discussions about reparations for slavery and systemic racism, calling them unnecessary or divisive. 2. He labeled Black Lives Matter as a symbol of hate while defending Confederate monuments and figures. The fifth thing that I'm also going to be talking about is economic and political disempowerment of Black communities. Weakening Black history education limits awareness of historical injustices and how they connect to present-day racial disparities. If future generations do not learn about redlining, police brutality, and mass incarceration, they may be less likely to support policies addressing these issues. And it is important for you and me as a Black folk to always learn from the history of the United States. One thing that I know is that You cannot wipe black history, because honestly, the black history is the American history. And everyone knows this. The contributions, the things that black people have done in the United States really speaks for itself. So when you ask yourself the contribution of black people, the history of white people, the legacy that black people have brought, it is really it is really the things that the American history, the Americans are celebrating today, without talking about black people are the ones that built the United States for 500 years for free without being paid. So I'll conclude by saying you cannot erase black history, because when you erase black history, what you're trying to do, you're trying to erase the American history, right? So most definitely, I really want to know how you feel about this video. What's your take on this? How do you feel about this? Because it's important for us to have this discussion. So let me know what you think about this. I want to know how you feel about this. Until then, let me see you in my next video. This is a presenter, Generic Stories. Until then, peace, love, and harmony. Salute.